All right, so let me give you some examples and see how you do. Let me find my, bear with me. All right, share my screen, new share. All right, so read along with me here and tell me if you think these are retroactive or proactive. All right, so moving from the United States to England, where people drive on the left side instead of the right side of the road. What do you think is happening here? What kind of interference? What's that?
I'm thinking proactive.
Proactive. So information learned earlier is interfering with what they're doing now, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Because they're if they move from the United States to England, and they're used to driving on the right side of the road from the United States. That's what we've learned, right? It's really ingrained in us, really embedded in us. Has anybody done that? Has anybody been to Europe and tried to do this?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And how was so you did you come from Europe or?
Yeah. I came from Africa, but I went to Europe for a couple of years.
Okay, so the driving was a little bit different. You drove on the right
Yeah.
side, and yeah. So
Yeah.
how
Even in the intersections, people when they want to turn, instead of turning your way, you have to go along. You're turning.
turning into the wrong lane? Yep, absolutely. I went to Europe, and it took me a while to kind of get that concept. But you got to really retrain your brain. But what I knew was interfering. What I had learned earlier was interfering with what my task was then. How about let's try the next one? Trying to program your old cell phone after having a new one for a year. What would you say?
That'd be retroactive because it's older technology you're trying to go back to, but you've been conditioned by the newer technology to learn a different way.
Right, exactly. So the information that you learn later is have an effect on what you're trying to do with the old phone, right? All right. How about moving from one word processing program to a different one, such as from WordPerfect to Microsoft?
I want to say proactive.
Absolutely, because what you're learning earlier is interfering, right? All right. So I think you all do you all see the how that works, how retroactive and proactive occurs? All
Yeah.
right. All right. So I do want to also come up with a couple other examples on how memories are interfered. And we're going to get a little bit more into this when we talk about social psychology, but like the influence, for example, what the influence that somebody could have on retrieving memory. And we talked a little bit about that with hypnosis, right? We can't really extract something from somebody's memory through hypnosis if it doesn't exist. However, what we can do is based on how we ask questions, we can certainly induce memory. And let me give you an example of how that works, okay? So I'm going to read off to you a list of words. Please don't write them down, but just try and think about it. In fact, if you want to close your eyes to think about the words as I'm saying them, and then I'm going to ask you a question at the end, okay? So here's the list. Bed, rest, awake, tired, dream, wake, snooze, blanket, doze, slumber, snore, nap, peace, yawn, drowsy. All right, so if you have a pen and paper nearby, write down as many words as you can think of. I'll give you a couple minutes here, or a couple seconds. Sorry, I guess I should have warned you to have pen and paper ready. All right. So who wants to give me the list that they got?
Does it have to be in order, or?
Nope, doesn't have to be in order. Just as many as you can remember.
I have bed, sleep, dream, snore, snooze, blanket, tired.
Okay. Okay. All right. Who else wants to read their list? Anybody else? Any other takers? Nobody's brave. How many of you heard the word sleep?
Here.
I wrote down sleep. Okay. Here's the list I gave you. Do you see sleep on there anywhere?
Oh no.
Okay. So why did you write sleep? What happened?
Oh my God. Because a lot of things are related to sleep, like the bed thing and everything. Oh my God.
Right, right. So I induced a memory. I induced you actually visualizing a word sleep being in that list when indeed it wasn't. Now you got every other one of those correct, but you also inserted sleep because that's what that's the theme of what we think. And we're most familiar with all of these and we categorize them as sleep. So pretty wild, right? So other ways that we can affect our memory, and I think I shared this with you before, is the wording in which we use, because we think in terms of words, as we saw with the Stroop effect. So how does that affect how we extract information from our memory? Well, I think I had this, I had the video up on D2L, but I'm going to play it for you just so we can talk about it. So let me get to my screen. All right, so pay attention to the screen and we'll get back together here in just a minute.
We're on location of a movie set in the 1950s, complete with cameras, bossy director, and on-set police for security. We've also invited a group of spectators to watch the filming. Pay attention along with them as the crew gets the final shot of the movie. Try to remember what you see.
Here we go. Final shot, everyone. Action.
Keep watching. Everything you see is fair game.
What got in the car? Cut!
Okay, that wasn't part of the movie. Did you catch what just happened? I know, it was a lot to take in. But we're going to let you in on a little secret. The actors, director, crew, and police are all in on it. Everyone, in fact, except our spectators. And former Las Vegas Police Sergeant Chris Curtis is here to test your memory. He's going to ask you and our other witnesses 3 questions about what you just saw. Ready?
What color was the car that got hit?
Blue.
Blue? The car that got hit was blue? Anybody disagree?
Was it blue or purple?
All right.
Think back and try to be accurate. Got your answer?
Did you say blue? Good, that's correct. Next question. How fast do you think the car was going when it bumped into the other car?
50 miles, 80 miles an hour,
Like 30.
30?
or 80.
15.
50? 15?
Wait, are we
Okay.
saying when we actually hit it or how fast it was coming at the car?
He asked, how fast was it when it bumped into the other car?
Oh, it was practically stopped. He turned and it slid into the side, barely hit it.
Okay, okay.
What do you think? Was the red car going 10, 15, 20, 30, or 40 miles an hour? Got your answer? Did you guess around 20 miles an hour? If so, you agree with 80% of people we showed this video to. Before we reveal if you're correct or not, let's see what our spectators have to say.
How fast would you say the car was going when it smashed into the other car?
I'd say 40.
Between 40 and 50.
It was going about 30 miles an hour.
Definitely 50 miles an hour.
These people.
So why did they guess so high? What happened?
It was right in front of them.
Okay, so you think it was right in front of them. Did anybody pick up on how he asked those spectators? What term did he use? All right, let's watch.
People think the speed was really high. Is that what you thought? Or did you think it was much lower? It turns out the actual speed was 20 miles an hour. Is that what you guessed? So why were our eyewitnesses so much higher? The thing is, only some of our witnesses guessed high. Others were much closer to the real speed.
How fast do you think the car was going when it bumped into the other car?
Probably about 10, 15 miles per hour.
15 miles per hour.
15 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, how can this guy think it's 50
Between 40 and 50.
and this guy think it's 15?
15 miles per hour.
After all, they both saw the same crash. But if you've been paying attention, you'd know it's not the crash that matters, it's the question. Listen carefully to Sergeant Curtis.
How fast would you say the car was going when it smashed into the other car? How fast do you think the car was going when it bumped the other car?
Did you catch it? He said smashed. To some witnesses,
Smashed into the other car, smashed into the other car, smashed, smashed, smashed into the other car.
and bumped to others, including you.
When it bumped the other car.
The word smashed actually increased the speed of the red car in our spectators' memory.
So I want to tell you, the actual speed of the accident was 20 miles an hour.
I don't believe that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that would surprise me.
It seemed like it was 30 miles an hour.
You're kidding, right?
That's a big difference.
It's incredible if you think about it. One word has the power to totally rewrite a memory. Don't feel bad if you got the speed of the car wrong. We're going to give you another chance to test your memory.
Final question. You saw the driver blow through a stop sign right after the accident. Yes or no?
It was a yield sign.
Okay. Yield sign. All right. Somebody's been paying attention.
Before we reveal the answer, let's see what our spectators have to say.
Did you see the car run through the stop sign after the accident?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I saw him go through the stop sign.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Watch the replay. Do you agree the driver ran through a stop sign? Look closely, and you can see it's actually a yield sign. Did Sergeant Curtis mess with your memory again? If so, you're not alone.
Would it surprise you to know that it was not a stop sign, but it was a yield sign?
Let's go back and check it out. I think it was a stop sign.
So what was going on in your brain when Sergeant Curtis manipulated your memory along with our participants? Experts call it the misinformation effect, and it reveals memories are never a perfect recall of an event.
Every time you receive new information from a trustworthy source, your brain reshapes your memory based on those details.
And memories formed under stress, like a car accident, are especially vulnerable to change.
All right. So what do you all think of that?
Don't trust the police. They're going to lie to you.
Well, there's a lot of training that goes that the police have to go through in order to make sure that they're asking valid questions. Oops, sorry, my video is paused for some reason. So very important, not only for you to understand what questions are being asked, but maybe like some of you that are getting into the field, if you want more accurate information, you have to be very cautious as to how you're going to ask that. as a researcher, somebody that's done research in the past, I have to be very attuned to the language that I'm using, because I don't want to skew my results. I don't want participants to report things that aren't there. So being aware of the language that you use sometimes, albeit hyperbole. We hear hyperbole in everyday language, right? And that affects how we view things and how we remember things, or at least recall them. So everybody saw the exact same event happen, but we got a different account for each one of them. And when we get into social psychology, we're going to certainly be delving into a lot more of how we can influence people's thoughts and actions and behaviors, and even their memories. Okay. All right. Any questions with memory?
Why am I
Anybody
so
have
good
it?
with signs?
Go ahead.
Why am I so good with street signs? I got the stop sign thing right the other Monday. What the heck's up with that?
Well, as if I remember correctly, you said you're a driver, right?
Yeah, a lot of driving.
Okay, so what, just out of curiosity, what do you drive? Big truck or?
I drive a car, Corolla.
Oh, so driver, like you just like delivery or
I was
Ubers?
a heavy commuter. I worked in Frederick, and then I had to go to Harrisburg for college. I was driving 4 hours a day.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're very attuned with paying attention to. I'm guessing you probably don't have that many accidents.
Oh no, I've actually, other than a deer hitting me one time, I've never been in an accident in my life.
Okay, and the reason I say that is because you're scanning. You're constantly scanning and aware of your environment and the rules of the road. So that could be an explanation. You're probably taught or learned to be a very safe driver, and therefore you do pay attention to things like that. So your experiences have formed your ability to remember things.
It just kind of funny because I'm generally not a very observant person, but it seems like all these topics around street signs, I seem to be right on. I'm like, wait a sec, that's not how I normally operate.
And normally, I'll tell you, a vast majority of people, when he asks that question about the stop sign, they get it wrong just about every time. So yeah, very, very observant. But that indicates to you that you're capable. You know, we get a lot of, I deal a lot with ADHD and students and kids and even adults that say, I can't do this. I can't do this. And a lot of what I do is I show them that they can do this because they're doing it with things that are important to them. For example, I have this one client that I'm working with, and she is very spacey at times. She puts things down and she doesn't remember where they go. However, if you look in like her emails, she showed me her email setup one day, and it is just very structured. It's very organized. And I work with her to say, you have the organizational capabilities. It's just taking what you're doing here and transposing that into other areas of your life. So yeah, just being aware that you have these capabilities can help you in organizing areas of your life that you feel like you might have deficits. So anyway, just food for thought on that one. Any other comments? Anybody have any memories to share, or any questions about memories or forgetting or anything?
May I follow up to what you said last?
What's that?
May I follow up?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know why I'm so talkative today. No, when you talk about having a really organized inbox or whatever, being very forgetful, I actually have some problem. I'll put something down, not remember where it's at. And that's why I have like a certain order in which I put cards in my wallet, a certain pocket I put a phone in. That way I know where to look for it. Because whenever I break the system, I get really lost. So I just remind me of that.
Yeah, no, and that's a great strategy. That's adapting to whatever shortcomings you have. And what you're doing is you're still remembering, but a lot of people do that. It takes a lot more energy. I explain this to people. It takes a lot more energy to not have a system, because if you put something down, then you have to remember where it is. And if you have to focus your energy on that, you're taking energy away from something else, which means you could have the potential of losing something very important someday. So yeah, it's an interesting strategy. And when we get into mental health disorders, you can use those examples all day as to how we overcome and adapt to situations because we're all different, right? We all have differences in how we remember and how we learn and how we do things and how we recall things. It's just different for everybody. So learning what works best for you is the best way to do it. Right. Anybody else? Any other comments, questions?
I have
Okay.
excuse me.
Go ahead, Chevrolet.
Oh, all this class today, I was having problem with my Zoom. That's why I cannot reply to you. So I want to know, you were talking about the assignment, so I didn't heard everything you said.
What assignment were we?
Or the test? I don't know. A test? You were talking about a test for mid-grade.
Oh, yeah. The test next week, just the midterm. So take those quizzes as many times as you want. The midterm opens on Monday. Try and have it done by midnight. Please have it done by midnight Friday, because I have to get the grades in first thing Sunday night, actually. So have those in by Friday so I can get those scores. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
But you have all week to take it. There's no schedule. All right. Any other questions? All right. If there is nothing else, I thank you for your attention. I'm going to stop recording right now. I see something in chat.
I need to say, Amelie, I want to talk to you about that. When do you plan on doing this?
Oh,